Everyone knows the story. A college dropout builds an app. A startup becomes a billion-dollar company. Early employees become millionaires overnight. Silicon Valley creates legends. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. There's another industry, one that has quietly produced more millionaires than flashy startups. No viral launches, no celebrity founders, no unicorn headlines, just ordinary people, building extraordinary wealth. Some started with almost nothing. Some never invented anything. Some don't even have college degrees. Yet many retired decades early. The surprising part? You drive past this industry almost every day. You interact with it constantly. And most people still underestimate it. Because while everyone chases the next revolutionary idea, this industry quietly compounds fortunes. So today, we're uncovering the business that has silently created millions of wealthy people around the world, and why understanding it could completely change the way you think about money. Level 1. When people think about becoming rich, their minds jump to technology. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia. The headlines are impossible to ignore. Tech founders become billionaires. Engineers receive stock options worth millions. Investors strike gold. But those stories create a dangerous illusion. They make wealth look explosive, fast, exciting, rare. Reality looks very different. Most fortunes aren't built through one lucky event. They're built through decades of ownership of assets that generate cash, month after month, year after year. And that's where the overlooked industry enters the picture. Real estate, not glamorous skyscrapers, not luxury penthouses, not celebrity mansions, just ordinary property, apartment buildings, warehouses, retail centers, industrial parks, self-storage facilities, mobile home communities, office buildings, rental homes, the kinds of places people barely notice. Yet these assets produce something incredibly powerful. Predictable cash flow. Imagine owning a building with 20 tenants. Each pays rent every month. One tenant moves out, 19 others still pay. The income keeps flowing. Unlike a startup, the building doesn't need to go viral. Unlike social media, it doesn't depend on algorithms. Unlike cryptocurrencies, its value doesn't disappear overnight because sentiment changes. Instead, people always need somewhere to live. Businesses always need somewhere to operate. Goods always need somewhere to be stored. That constant demand creates remarkable stability, and stability compounds. Level 2. Here's something fascinating. Most millionaires aren't celebrities. They aren't hedge fund managers. They aren't professional athletes. Many are simply business owners who own property. Why? Because real estate isn't just one investment. It's multiple wealth-building engines running at the same time. First, cash flow. Rent arrives every month. Second, appreciation. As cities grow, land becomes more valuable. Third, debt works differently. Imagine buying $1 million building. You don't necessarily pay $1 million. Maybe you invest $200,000. A bank finances the rest. Now something incredible happens. Your tenants begin paying rent. Part of that rent goes toward the mortgage. Every month, someone else slowly buys the property for you. Think about that. Most people spend decades paying someone else's mortgage. Property owners spend decades having strangers pay theirs. Fourth, tax advantages. In many countries, governments encourage property investment, depreciation, interest deductions, capital gains treatment. These benefits allow owners to legally keep more of what they earn. Finally, leverage. This is where fortunes accelerate. Suppose your property rises by 10%. The building gains $100,000 in value. But if your original investment was only $200,000, you've effectively earned a 50% return on your own capital. That's why experienced investors obsess over leverage. Used wisely, it multiplies wealth. Used recklessly, it destroys it. The tool isn't good or bad. The person using it determines the outcome. Level 3. Let's look at history. During the California gold rush, thousands rushed west searching for gold. Many failed. Some struck it rich. But the people who consistently made fortunes often weren't mining at all. They sold shovels, built hotels, opened banks, provided transportation. They owned the infrastructure. Real estate works much the same way. Instead of betting on one winner, you're owning the ground beneath the economy. Consider warehouses. For decades, they were boring. Then e-commerce exploded. Suddenly, every online purchase needed somewhere to be stored. Distribution centers became some of the most valuable properties in the world. Or take self-storage. At first glance, rows of metal doors don't seem exciting. But people accumulate more possessions. Families relocate. Businesses need extra space. Demand quietly grows. Many self-storage businesses operate with relatively low staffing costs while generating reliable income. Then there's mobile home communities, often overlooked, sometimes misunderstood. Yet many investors consider them among the most resilient property sectors because moving an entire mobile home is expensive. Residents often stay for years. Long-term tenants create stable revenue. The lesson? Fortunes are rarely hiding in exciting places. They're often hiding in boring businesses, solving everyday problems. People chase excitement. Millionaires often chase predictability. Level 4. But here's the twist. Real estate alone isn't what creates millionaires. Ownership does. That's the deeper lesson. Whether it's property, a manufacturing company, a chain of laundromats, a logistics business, or shares in publicly traded companies, ownership changes everything. Employees exchange time for money. Owners build assets. Assets continue producing value even while the owner sleeps. Think about two people earning identical salaries. One spends everything. The other consistently buys productive assets. 10 years later, their lifestyles may look similar. 20 years later, they're living completely different financial lives because assets begin generating income. That income buys more assets. Those assets generate even more income. This is the compounding loop. It's almost invisible at first, like planting bamboo. For years, almost nothing appears above the surface. Then suddenly, growth explodes. Financial wealth behaves similarly. The early years feel painfully slow. Then one day, the income from investments covers the mortgage. Later, it covers groceries. Eventually, it covers an entire lifestyle. That's financial independence. Not because someone got lucky, because someone owned assets. Level 5. Now let's confront the uncomfortable truth. Real estate is not easy money. Social media often portrays effortless wealth. Buy one property, collect rent, retire. Reality is much messier. Markets crash, interest rates rise. Repairs happen unexpectedly. Tenants leave, laws change. Natural disasters occur. Poor decisions become expensive. The people who become wealthy through property usually possess something far more valuable than secret investment strategies: patience. They think in decades, not months. They understand that wealth is less about timing the market and more about staying in the market. Many of today's largest property fortunes began with a single modest purchase, not luxury towers, not beachfront mansions. Just one sensible investment, then another. Over 20, 30, 40 years. The biggest advantage wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It wasn't even starting with huge amounts of money. It was consistency. They reinvested profits. They controlled debt. They resisted lifestyle inflation. And they kept buying productive assets. Meanwhile, others kept waiting for the perfect opportunity. But perfection rarely arrives. Time does. Every single day. Conclusion. The world loves dramatic success stories. Teenage billionaires, viral startups, revolutionary apps. Those stories inspire us. But they also distract us, because most wealth isn't created through spectacular moments. It's created through ordinary decisions repeated for extraordinary lengths of time. Buying assets instead of liabilities, thinking like an owner instead of only an employee, choosing cash flow over hype, choosing patience over excitement. That's why real estate has quietly produced generations of millionaires, not because buildings are magical, but because ownership, leverage, cash flow, and compounding create a financial machine that works while most people are looking somewhere else. The next millionaire you meet may not have invented the next smartphone. They may simply own the apartment building across the street, or the warehouse supplying your online orders, or the storage facility holding thousands of forgotten belongings. Quiet businesses, quiet fortunes, quiet freedom. And perhaps that's the biggest lesson of all. The loudest industries capture attention. The quietest industries often build wealth. Because in the end, money doesn't care about headlines. It rewards ownership, it rewards patience, and above all, it rewards those who understand that the greatest fortunes are rarely built overnight. They're built one asset at a time.